I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, May the 25th, where cattle people are hoping bend, don't break. Trying to kind of pass off the board going down big on Wednesday there and just thinking things are going to vacillate back and forth and hoping it'll come back again here. But we did lose some ground on the fats and probably some on the feeder cattle on Wednesday, but not terrible, and guys are still pretty optimistic about things. But look at the board on Wednesday. Live cattle futures, the August contract was down $1.40. Feeder cattle was down $2.82, which is pretty tough on the August contract. But June spot live cattle futures down just 95 at $122.12. That's about a $10 basis to what happened on Wednesday. And on Wednesday early in the afternoon, the fed cattle trade broke loose there in the Southern Plains at $132 in Texas and Kansas both, and pretty extensive there. That's what the market's going to be down in the Southern Plains. That's $2 lower. Was kind of hoping to hold things steady, but $2 lower is not terrible. It looks like they sold several cattle that way. Your fed cattle exchange on Wednesday morning there sold 1,300 head out of 2,600 offered, and that's about where they were at, was right around 132. They sold cattle from 131 to 133, so that kind of set the pace, and it has been setting the pace since it started selling cattle pretty widespread there the last few months. But you look at some feeder cattle auctions there on Wednesday. OKC West on Wednesday, of course they continue to have big runs. 12,600 head, including the 3,000 head of calves that they sold on Tuesday. Feeder cattle were mostly steady to $3 lower. On Tuesday they sold the calves $1 to $4 higher. Of course the things were a little more positive on Tuesday than they were on Wednesday. But you look at some other feeder cattle auctions where runs weren't quite as big, and runs are going to be where everybody's looking at. If you've got receipts, that's going to be a premium. Dodge City, Kansas has had 2,000 head on Wednesday there. They sold their feeder cattle $3 to $6 higher. And it's going to be that way in spots where there's not very many feeder cattle offered, and it's not going to take many feeder cattle to draw a crowd here as we move on through the summer months. But you know, market's probably a little bit cheaper around as the way things go. If you look at the board and you look at the fat cattle trade, and it's just easing off a little bit. We know it's going to, but we're going to try to hold it together the best we can. Look at an individual quote back east there on Wednesday morning before things on the board turned south. But in Bluegrass Stockyards East in Mount Sterling, Kentucky, they sold a load of steers at 9:30 in the morning. 66 head weighed 811 at $158, and that wouldn't have been no cheaper. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.